What up, everybody? Welcome in. Browns Film Breakdown live show as we cover the post game. Browns 22-13 winners over the Eagles. Brad Ward with me. What'd you think, Brad? Immediate thoughts.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Hey, everybody's healthy. Quarterback looked sharp for the most part. I was expecting more like boot stuff, and I thought he did pretty well in the pocket for the most part. Obviously, he made a couple of mistakes, but I thought he was rather sharp outside of those two mistakes. And everybody else I thought played well. We have some certain positions to talk about. Nickel corner, cornerback depth are areas of concern. And I thought Donovan McMillan played really well. He kind of shined for a little bit to me today. So, and Jamari Thrash, big time shine.
Yeah, I think the Eagles did the right thing by not playing Tanner McKee. Start there.
Yep.
They're protecting their 1 and 2. It feels like, and I do not mean this with much disrespect. I mean that seriously. Those two quarterbacks in Dorian, we witnessed it last year. Like, it's probably a time to get, and Kyle McCord. I think it's just time to get a head start on the CFL, man. Like, I think there's an opportunity there to be had. I don't think those guys are NFL quality quarterbacks, but I'm not here to talk about the Eagles, but the Browns did hold the Eagles to 88 total yards, Brad, in a preseason game where the Browns were playing a little bit of their guys who we'll see on Sundays at the defensive line, but Cam Mitchell played a little bit. There's a few guys, but Philly had a couple of their guys out there that are going to be playing on Sundays too. It's not like that was uneven. So yeah, they hold them to I think they hold them to 33 passing yards, 55 rushing yards on the day. It's a pretty ridiculously dominant performance up front. And obviously they covered really well and made life uncomfortable on those quarterbacks. And to your point, Gabriel was, who I have always thought he was, very on time. He saw things pretty well for the most part. And I thought when his first was taken away, he did a nice job of navigating the pocket to get to where he needed to get to find those answers. Some really good middle of the field throws in that mix. Now, the interception was really rough. Listen, there's no doubt that those two guys were not in positions they needed to be. I think again, you're not in the coach's room. You usually like to have a deep, an intermediate, and a shallow. It looked to me like the shallow that was supposed to be Whiteheart was a little too deep. And as Deontay Johnson, the intermediate, was working across, he was a little too shallow. So they end up meshing. I'm not even sure, and I'll have to see it from the coach's tape when I break down Dylan's game, if he even saw Andrew Makuba, who ended up making that interception, because I don't think he saw him. I think he was hidden behind. And also, Whiteheart didn't even go after the football at all. It was a pretty weird exchange.
He kind of went and then he pulled his arms back. I don't even know if he efforted the catch there.
Yeah,
so,
it was pretty weird.
Weird play.
If you notice that, I think Dylan will, and the coach's office, Bill Musgrave, talking to him, going through the film, it's like, hey man, let's dirt that. Whenever you got two guys mucking it up near each other, let's dirt that. Now, I will say he didn't have much. He did a little bit of it at Oregon. He would get under center and they do some of that stuff, usually in the low red zone, Brad. He actually had a couple turnovers on boot stuff similar to that at Oregon last year, where he's rolling away from the concept after the bootleg. And one, he left too far inside and was picked off against Michigan State, who I think they played early in the season. And I actually think there might've been a second one against Michigan State, because Oregon started the year kind of shaky. And he had a couple moments there where he didn't do so well with the bootleg stuff, but they were just incorporating it in little spots and sessions. So it's not again, there's a huge learning moment there. It's not all on him. It's a really mucked up route, but dirt that thing or put that thing in the first row is going to be the lesson there, especially when it's in that sort of situation. Not a big deal there. The thing too, though, has to be noted is process stuff. There was the protection on that second play from scrimmage where, and I'm not blaming Dylan, but we're outside looking in and we're giving him a lot of benefit of the doubt of, hey, he's in front of Shador because of his ability to do checks at the line of scrimmage really well. He's able to handle protection. Nice job in the huddle, all this stuff. But, and again, this could be 1,000,000% on Zenter. We probably will never get an answer on this, but right. And that leaves the centers looking left, right guard slides right, and we leave a huge void for a sack. The rookie whose name is escaping me from Alabama, the linebacker they drafted, Philly did, but that was an easy sack because the miscommunication. So the process there wasn't clean, and then the handoff issue. I don't know who that's on. It didn't look like wherever Dylan was turning to meet him wasn't clean either. So you got to hold the quarterback responsible for that stuff, man. If the line stuff is off kilter, it's your job to get everybody on the same page. And likewise, it's Jihad Campbell, thanks in the comments there, Barkin Browns. There is, some stuff there. So if we're good, like I said, I picked on Shador last week because of the illegal shift. He didn't let his guys get set and send them in motion. It's on Dylan not to turn that football over on the rollout. It's on Dylan not to have that handoff miscue. And you got to be, as a collective 11, clean in pass protection, context and adjustments and all that stuff. But otherwise, very rhythmic, very sharp. I only really could, off the top of my head, and this is why we do this immediately because we always go back and autocorrect, but there's only one ball I thought he put in a little bit of harm's way on a deep over route that kind of had kind of a triangle of defenders sort of kind of forcing themselves down on the football. It was Deontay Johnson, but that's the only one that I was like, man, he kind of put that one in the way of danger a little bit there from first view. But otherwise, Brad, I don't know. You can tell me what you saw, but like a lot of decisive throws and stepping into quick process reads, some good sideline balls where you're putting it away from somebody in tight coverage. And then I liked a lot of the middle of the field stuff where he's, willing to step up, find pass lanes and, drill the football down the middle of the field. And like I said, some were situations where they needed to cut a second and long into third and short. Some of them were third and longs. And the Browns, I think, were 8 of 15 on third downs for the day, if I remember correctly. So that's obviously all, stuff. You're going to win plenty of ball games when you're 9 of 16 on third down and you hold the team you're playing to 88 yards. So there you go. I thought it was good. I would give it a solid B, just like I would give in Shador B. I think Dylan gets a B as well. There's enough stuff there that I feel really good about it compared to the way some folks tried to sell what he's been at camp, which I had tried to say. He had a couple bad days. It's not all bad here. I think that played out today.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Compared to what I saw at camp in the 2 days I was there, I was kind of like, I don't know what to expect from Gabriel today. I think Stefanski will put him in a situation to succeed. Obviously, they'll want him to look good, but he was quick, had the ball out, made quick decisions. And to your point, like some difficult throws to the sideline, like where only the ball, the ball had to be where it was. Thrash, I think, on one of them, away from the defender, only right on his hands. And he stepped up in the pocket on a couple plays and just kind of moved himself slightly to the right or the left and threw a missile over the middle. He was really good on third down, but he throws a pretty ball. You understand what people are talking about when they talk about his processing ability. He finds answers pretty quickly and doesn't hold it forever. And that's something that is a general positive. I thought he played a really good game. Besides the 3 plays we talked about, and the interception is up for interpretation. We'll look at it or whatever. I thought Whiteheart kind of got pushed back out of his own route by the linebacker there too. So some fault on him there as well. But I was impressed from the get-go. I was impressed by him.
Yeah. No, I would say the other thing off the like, hey, where your eyes are supposed to be, getting the football out, throwing on time with accuracy, which is all stuff I wrote about in today's opening drive. Like, I think we can all agree that Dylan, at least people who watched it, I don't want to speak for everybody. Maybe not everybody's seen him at camp or whatever, but like he's generally eyes are in the right spot, getting through the process the right way and delivering the football. Now, had it been accurate enough at times? I don't think so. Now, who's to totally blame for that? Break points, timing things. There's always a little bit of interpretation there, but today was very clean. And I also liked that when things started to get chaotic around him, granted, he's not 100%. You can tell he's not running well. He's a good athlete and he's not running well right now. He got out of the pocket a couple times and you could just see he just went down. He didn't want to get hit on that leg. Like you can tell. And so the mobility stuff that he's got up his sleeve was not totally there, maybe 60, 70% there. And he certainly didn't want to push it when he had to get out of the pocket. But I thought what you worry about with him, Brad, is like he's so short, and he's short. Let's just be clear. He's short.
Very short.
Yeah, I mean, like 5'10", sneakers on. Like, and we're not even talking like Skechers type of sneakers here with some big soles, right?
Yeah.
He's small, but he's been navigating that at big locations his whole. It's not like this is the first time he stood in front of 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" offensive linemen. Like, bro, this guy played at Oklahoma. He played at Oregon, and UCF's got some big boys too. And he's playing against big boys all the time. So I understand that the nature of the NFL game is to be like, data tells me he can't do it. Well, listen, I get it, but some of these guys have been able to overcome that, and it's worth giving him a chance to see if he can also overcome that. And what I liked about today is that when those moments were, hey, my first read, maybe even my second read, or, hey, I'm reading, the NFL is very much it's a closed coverage side. This is my side. If it's open coverage, this is my side. And maybe a team rolls out of open and they go closed, and it kind of makes you go off your first plan, maybe even your first and a half plan into your second plan. When that pocket starts to condense, they can just like curl up and die. Like they'll just curl up and, their eyes drop and they can't see. I thought he did a pretty good job of navigating, finding passing windows, especially the first third down of the game in the first drive, did a great job of finding Whiteheart over the middle, where he kind of like stepped up and then he put his he'd be his right hand. He put his right hand like on the back of the offensive lineman and kind of found the window and turned. He's going to have to do that. Like it's like being Muggsy Bogues out there with NBA hoopers. Like you got to be able to navigate high arcing fades, and you got to be able to navigate the right window to get that pass through or that layup off. And like, I was encouraged today by how he was able to navigate. Oh, everything's kind of getting condensed. How do I get out of this and create either a passing window or kind of extend and laterally get out? And I thought there was a lot of comfort in those moments, whereas you can sort of tell with guys who are not big enough or comfortable enough with the speed of the game, they get that shelter up feeling about them. And I didn't get that feeling, Brad.
No, I didn't. And maybe this is the offensive line doing a pretty good job today. I don't know what your thoughts on that were, but like it never felt like it got real tight on him. It like even when the pocket started to collapse, he was able to move to space. Like it never felt like he was too enclosed, like where he can't see out, and he's like trying to your point, like he puts his hand on the guy and he kind of just shifts, and he's got an open lane to throw down the field. And I thought he has kind of an innate ability to find that space or that area within the pocket, where I never felt like he was too enclosed. That sometimes I can imagine that would be a problem for a smaller guy.
And that will be the way teams will attack him, Brad. Like you talking like, hey, they're playing Pittsburgh. We're going to say, TJ, turn the corner, make him step up, and then we're going to have Cam and the boys just drive things into. So how he navigates that and how they work spacing in the pocket to give him enough room is going to be fascinating to watch. I was encouraged. There's a good amount of under center stuff. And I thought, other than the handoff issue, he looked comfortable doing the operative stuff from under center. So that's, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on Gabriel, but I thought he played a half a ball, and 13 for 18, I think, is the numbers here. Let's put these up because I like to kind of have these piggyback a little bit of the things we're talking about. But yeah, let me scroll up here. So he goes 13 of 18, 143, the interception, and obviously giving points to the other team hurts. That doesn't help. But as far as playing a half of football, I think Shedeur was like 14 of 24, 14 of 25 the week before, similar yardage. I think Dylan ended up throwing for a couple more yards, but Shedeur threw a couple touchdowns. So yeah, I think both guys were like, I mean, if you're grading it on a scale of like, these are rookies in their first putting their uniforms on in an NFL stadium moment, they're good. I mean, like you would feel good about this if this was Cam Ward at times. Like you feel like this is okay, right? As far as a collective performance, they're both B's. They're both B's. Mistakes were made, but this is a debut. Now, I'm most interested in this next weekend, how much both of them play and how much, because it feels like the ultimate dress rehearsal where Flacco will play maybe a snap or series or two just to get the rust off. Maybe Kevin, I don't know. Maybe Kevin just decides to keep the cars in the garage completely, but I feel like they should get, without a joint practice, one meaningful preseason game where they play a couple of their guys. But I digress a little bit there, Brad, but I felt, again, I think what you wanted to feel coming out of these two games with both guys starting is encouragement about what they could be. And I would think at this point, Browns fans should feel, no matter how they feel about the goofy quote that's running around social media that was not in any way contextualized into the way it's being spun, that both guys did well for themselves and showing the traits that can give them success if they can find it. Do you agree with that or disagree?
No, I agree with it. That makes sense. The only thing else I was going to say about Gabriel's game was I think you're right about his hamstring, not being 100%. I think a couple times he would have taken off. I mean, we even saw the play where Thrash turned to block, got called for the penalty. There's you know what I mean? He even thought he was going to take off and run with it. So, but overall, I mean, these are big moments for these guys in their career, right? First time NFL field, the lights are bright. And they both did a really good job. I gotta say that I'm a little bit surprised that they both did as well as they did. I expected them to struggle.
I actually feel this. I feel the same way. I thought there would be more things that gave them trouble. Like, Shedeur had the stuff where he floated backward and he was doing a little bit of the stuff at Colorado that caused him some fits and, here and there. But for the most part, for the things that you want to see from him, poison the pocket, being able to step away, drive the football a little bit deep down the middle of the field and play with general accuracy. There was a couple throws he missed in the shorter portions of the field, but like a lot of encouraging pieces are the same for Dylan. People won't love this. I'm not hand waving a pick six away, but I just felt like that was such a weird and fluky play that, and the indications from like Gabriel not running after that and like his was getting out of the pocket and kind of going down really quick. He's hurting. Like it's pretty clear he doesn't feel good about running. So that part of like a guy who's kind of lived in that world, if you watched him at Oregon last year, a guy who's lived in that world of he can get out and run, man. He can make you pay for leaving him space. And hell, even Oregon was running some true zone reads and stuff with him and letting him get in space. He can run, he can move. And he just didn't feel comfortable. So when you're in there and you don't have that little element of your game, you certainly feel a little less, dangerous than normal. But yeah, I think that's the right sentiment. I think both overachieved versus what I would have expected them to be if you compare them to how some of the guys that are, the Jackson Darts and all of that. I think it was pretty good from both of them, right? There's certainly parts of both Sanders and Gabriel's game that are clearly things they struggled with, but there's also just so many positives that I feel good. Two things can be mutually true. Like Shedeur can have a good game and Dylan could have a good game, good moments inside of these games that you feel optimistic about. So yeah, I mean, this is never going to be a place that's going to spin narratives for one guy versus the other guy. I think you separate them independently, and I thought they both had really good moments on both ends.
Yeah, they both did, and you got to feel good about it. Like to your point, going into this week, we'll see what the oblique, update is and everything, and how he comes out of this game, Dylan comes out of this game with his hamstring and so forth, and what this week looks like, and then going into the final preseason game, you would like to see them both get significant time after if Flacco touches the field, which I'm still not sure that Stefanski will even do that. I feel like he's leaned towards not doing it in the past. Am I crazy to think that?
No, there have been times, but that has felt like he's done that more when there has been really like Baker and then I don't know. It's actually very up in the air. He's definitely gone entire preseasons where he's not given the frontline guys any snaps. He won't do that with Miles. Miles will stay in the garage. Denzel will stay in the garage, but there's definitely a risk factor. I would just, with this offense, to me, guy behind a computer screen, I would give him a run or two in this upcoming game, just because you got the extra bye week in between and you're not doing any joint practices up until then. So, I think
bye week.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. But yeah, that's the hope here that they give him some run. Let's talk about other positions. They Pierre Strong had an 89-yard game. I mean, there's obviously the 54-yard chunk run helps, but I continue to really like Amani Marshall. Maybe it's just like fatigue of Pierre Strong has been in Cleveland, and he has yet to find any niche that matters here. So I don't feel like I prefer to see somebody. It's not like, I don't know if that's the most sound reasoning, but I do like Marshall. I feel like he's a downhill runner. He presents a different style really the style that you expect Quinshon to bring, which is more downhill, more in your face, more run through you threat. That sort of thing is why I'm interested in Marshall in the running back room. But I think, Pierre Strong also had moments, and he's certainly still an explosive runner. And I thought they blocked fairly well up front. It's so hard to have a TV view discussion on blocking. You can do some of that when it's so heinous, but I thought they were better this week than last week. I'll say that much.
Yeah, they successfully moved the ball on the ground, and I'm with you. Like, I may be biased. I came into this camp thinking Pierre Strong is not a factor here. Like, he's just kind of a camp body. And I tend to kind of still feel that way. Like, I don't know what he gives you, his inability to take any contact and remain on his feet just remains an issue. And
tough for zone runners to be in that world. You got to be able to wear a hit or two and kind of find some extra yardage. So I'm with you on that.
Good cutback by Marshall in the hole today on the one run. And, even going back to last week, that block was probably the play of his preseason so far, was coming across Shador's face to pick up that blitz. Him doing things like that has made an impression on me. And he's a tough runner. He's patient at times. It seems like that would be the guy you would lean towards.
Anytime you get a guy like, because Jerome Ford struggles blocking, because Pierre Strong lacks any, pause here, but girth, like, you're just not very big. Like, you need guys who can step in on a third down in a running back committee and like, hey man, we need you to fit up the A gap on this double mug blitz here and be able to handle it. So you need some of that, right? Like, the reason you're so excited about Quinshon is because you can kind of handle all that. But if we're still waiting in this world and you don't know totally when he's available, and the NFL still gets to play their cards in some capacity, you just don't have certainty there. I think I lean Marshall, but there's another game and we'll see. And there's also a chance here that Pierre Strong's a practice squad guy, vested veteran practice squad angle, and he could come up and down, and all of that stuff could still be possible for him.
Jake, what does week 1 look like carry wise for you? If it's, let's just say Judkins is out for a week, and we know what we know now. Like, what does week 1 carry wise look like for you with Sampson and everybody else?
I would say 60-40 Sampson Ford. I think that's probably the split. And then if they feel like Marshall is going to bring them something the other two cannot do, then he could play. And this is just in my world, he would play a little bit. So there's obviously so much stuff about Marshall, right? And this is just the stuff that we don't talk about when we see performances, right? Obviously the block you mentioned there on Shador's touchdown throw last week was fantastic. And there's little thing, but how well does he know everything? How well does he know where he's supposed to be? How well does he know who he has in this slide protection against base, against all the, there's just a lot there. I think on the surface, I'm more enticed by him, but I understand obviously if there's a veteran world where they still feel like, hey, we would prefer to keep Pierre at the beginning of the season. Marshall's not quite up to speed. We could get him on the practice squad. We can move him around. There's some stuff like that where I think we overreact to it. We're like, they decided against it, but there's just like a whole pump the brakes, see how it plays out. There's a strategy to all that stuff.
The big thing that he can't, like when you look at those three, Sampson, Ford, and if you're going to go with Pierre Strong, none of those guys are good in pass protection. Like, you have zero backs that are very good in pass protection, at least at this point in their careers. And like, you can't expect Sampson to be great at it right now, but like Jerome Ford hasn't proven to be very great at it either.
He's awful at it.
So it's trying to be nice, but he's awful at it. And then, he, so maybe that's his way to making this squad in a world where Judkins isn't back for week 1.
I agree. Stylistically, that's kind of the point, right? Which is like, he can do a little of that stuff just by the virtue of being 215, 220, that those guys aren't able to do. So that's why I think a world where you're keeping 4 backs and it's Judkins and Marshall, who are the bigger guys, and you have 2 more of the scat natured players and Sampson, who also still brings some clear between the tackles versatility. That's not to downplay who he is. And then Jerome
Yeah.
also has some game-breaking speed, as we've seen in several moments of his career. So, yeah, I mean, it's a matter of like how good is Judkins as he comes back, and is he who we thought he was going to be, and is he cleared to not miss any time? Right. That's how you vibe about the collective running back room. Is like that's how it feels like. It's like, oh, this is right. This is how it's supposed to be, and that part of it's exciting, Brad. I'd say wide receiver wise, like you top three, and Tillman played today, which is good for him because he'd missed some practices here and there. So it was good. I was good with him playing today. He needs to play. Thought he was fine. But it's like those two, and then I think it's Thrash. I mean, Deontay Johnson might make this by default, but he's like putting himself at risk a little bit here. As I continue to really like Gage Larvadane, I think his data stuff in the cycle was like, oh, the Browns got a guy here in the UDFA world who's enticing. And I know we talked about this the other day, but like he continues to show it on the field. And I'm to the point too where I'm really living in your world where if it comes down to him or DeAndre Carter, like I wouldn't be afraid to do the Larvadane keep here instead of Carter. But you know, Carter didn't play today. How much do they like him? You don't really know. But I just think that of the top two are set, like Thrash continues to play better and better, that I want him on the field on Sundays. He looks so much more confident and comfortable this year. You know, and then I think there's others like outside of those three, then it's like, are you keeping Carter, Larvadane, and Johnson, or where, you know, then there's the question of where's Bond going to fit in when he comes back, or when he comes, because apparently he's supposed to be signing today or tomorrow too, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think Bond, originally I was like, hey, Bond is the biggest threat to the all you other guys. But I tend to think now, just like the more I watch Larvadane, like and that he can return punts, and then you could potentially not have to keep DeAndre Carter opening up another spot. Like I was feeling good about Deontay Johnson, trying to watch like his body language a lot and stuff like that. But today was not great for him, I didn't think. And then obviously, I think Thrash has had a great camp and really good today. He just looks strong. He looks bigger, like stronger. He looks fast. I'm with you. I want him to be wide receiver 3 at this point, right? So, or whatever he is, you know what I mean? If he ends up being wide receiver 2 because Tillman isn't playing at where he needs to be, he's had kind of a quiet camp, I think. You know, then that's fine too, you know, whatever it is. But I think that Bond now kind of becomes maybe a little bit of a threat to Deontay Johnson, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Johnson just makes it because he's a veteran by default. You know, we'll have to see how that goes. Up to today, I would have said that he was on pace to make the team.
I would just say it's a really important week for all of those
huge.
AYOs. Like, you know, whoever can make that really important last impression. It's tough to tell. The two veterans you feel like have to have some angle here because of Cedric Tillman's history of injury, concussion history, really, that those two veterans have the leg up. And because you just, when you need guys on the field, those are the guys you probably lean toward. But then it's like, all right, well, who's going to matter most for the future? And I feel like that's where the 1 year DeAndre Carter thing is like, you know, I think if the Browns were maybe, you know, sitting in the cusp of you know, I don't know how to say this, but like a real playoff threat here, that could make some sense. But this is like we're trying to build everything toward a year or two away. I would not want to put that world at risk. I just would want to get Gage better. It's like, is there something real here? So I would be way more into that. And he's looked smooth catching kicks and stuff. So,
Question is,
I think so.
Becomes kickoffs then, right? Like who's going to, you know, they have Caden Davis doing it, who I thought did a fine job today with it. Can Larvadane do that too? You know what I mean? Can you get him to do both of those things, or can you just have Jerome Ford or Sampson do that? I'm sure that you could figure that out because, as you know, I'm very anti keeping DeAndre Carter around. Just feels like a waste of space on this roster for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Even though I know they've been chasing that desire for,
I know they keep trying and trying. feel like they
then they
set him
find
out
somebody
today
who's healthy,
just
and
to
then they
avoid
find
injury. Yeah.
yeah, then they find someone who's healthy at it, and then they're like, well, actually, maybe we got a UDFA we like more. I don't have much on the O-line. I don't have much on the tight ends right now. I'll have more on that in the coming days. The pressure up front was really good, Brad. I mean, Alex and Isaiah continue to be stellar. I don't know. Let me see here if there's any statistic. There's probably nothing out on pressures at this point, but as far as sacks go that were acquired, they ended up only getting one sack, but it was a pretty relentless set of pressure. And then obviously, I think it was Julian Aquara who got the hit fumble
2
situation.
for Aquara. I thought Jack Aquara had 2. Maybe they didn't count the second one because of the deflection or whatever.
I think that might end up being the case, that he doesn't actually get one for that, because
so
the
that's not a
NFL's official
sack,
stat page here is not giving him anything. But they were relentless, man. I thought Briggs had a good game. I actually thought Bookie Watson had some nice efforts, man. I know that one interception tip that he ended up getting his hands on, but he also had some really good flatline read, react, run closes I thought were good.
And on special teams.
Yeah, continues. Aiden Huntington continues to pop. Like, we'll talk about this. There's going to be some 53-man projections we probably should do before and after the last game, but I mean, I find it very fascinating with some of their young guys on defense. They're flying around, man. Obviously,
they are.
This is preseason and nothing matters, but you want to win and you want your young guys to play well. And I think they're playing really well right now. And this is what it looks like when your system is 3 years into the fold here, where guys are really comfortable, that they come in and have a good idea of what to do and what their role is. So I felt pretty optimistic. I mean, it's hard, the 88 yards of offense for the Eagles, it had to be pretty brutal for their fans sitting in the stands there in that hot sun. So
I even thought, what's it? His name is so weird. Easton Mascarenas Arnold, the UDFA linebacker. I even thought he was flying around.
We got to get that young man a nickname, because that's it was just not going to fly. It's got to be. It's got to be EMA. We'll just go EMA. Everybody with the hyphenated last name usually gets the dash there. So yeah, the depth of the D line continues to stand out. Guys who are getting after it. I mean, like, really getting after it and making things uncomfortable, which is what you want. And that's how you find preseason success. You get quarterbacks who aren't very comfortable in chaos. You just pressure them with 4 guys. So that was good. The linebackers continue to be a group that I think Tarver just gets ready to play, and they get after it. Nick Needham is doing a nice job too, as a depth player there. Cam Mitchell got his hands on the football a couple times. So yeah, we'll break this all down. We'll do an offense defense breakdown, and I'll give you some players who stood out and stuff, Brad. But I thought just a swarming effort on that side.
Can I be honest?
Give it to us.
I'm scared to death Cam Mitchell. I thought he looked bad again.
I think you definitely have to be. I mean,
he got beat on that touchdown.
He hasn't found a niche. He hasn't found anything he's comfortable doing. Like, you'll have moments in the slot where you're like, okay, I see it, but he's not really that comfortable in man. So if he's not that comfortable in man and he's playing slot a lot, like, that makes your ability to live in that world, that man coverage dense world, like, how are we helping him? And if you're focused on how you're always kind of helping that player, and especially teams that have those guys, like, they're going to put Jamar Chase in the slot. Week 1. Hey, they're going to hunt out the third corner. How do we get them into? We're going to get them in nickel because we live in 11. And how are we getting Jamar into the right matchup every snap? Right? Going to put T on the outside, let Denzel cover T, and keep Denzel. We won't even worry about T week 1. They're just going to isolate Jamar and say, "Go to work, young man." And how the Browns combat that will be fascinating, but that's their plan, and that's where you start to be a little concerned.
Yeah, he has been underwhelming for me since kind of been thrown into this situation with the injury to Emerson. I thought he was bad last week. I thought he was shoddy today at best. I thought Keenan Isaac did a better job in the nickel, and that's a 6'2" corner playing nickel in there.
I'm open to anybody playing in there, Brad.
They have so many names, that are there because they need depth on the outside, and they need a nickel to step up, right? Like, so who's your depth on the outside? We don't know. And who's your nickel right now? Is it Miles Harden, who had like a really good joint practice the other day, an interception, pass breakup, whatever? I don't know. You would like to think Harden maybe could step up, but that's kind of a big role you're asking him to step into. To your point, you're going to face some of the best wide receivers in the NFL in there on a weekly basis.
Right away too.
Yeah,
They're
right
coming to
away.
Cleveland
Yeah.
right away. I would say I'm interested, Brad, in all the trades that they can make. We've talked about wide receivers since the draft, you and I, in various conversations about, well, what the Packers got a lot of depth and now all their guys are hurt, but there's still a world where they could bring one in, but I think they got to get like a Wyatt Teller type of DB trade here. Take a swing on someone you like.
Yeah.
Don't rely on a waiver wire situation. Go get somebody you're interested in, because I have not felt enough from Cam Mitchell to feel comfortable there. Miles Harden has not done enough to make me feel comfortable there. And I don't want to play a bunch of 4-2-5 looks with the heavier safety in there down in the box and live in that world either, especially late down stuff where you're giving away a bunch of coverage indicators because you can't live in a world where you want to do the man coverage stuff that you prefer to do. So I am, of any trade that they could possibly make, I think they got to go find a DB that they believe in. And I'm not talking some huge swing here, but just a guy who's just somebody they think that could fit their system and step in and play, relatively quickly.
They've got so many. So there's Keenan Isaac, there's Dom Jones, Lamarian James didn't play. They keep bringing in guys. Darius Rush, they brought in. Christian Holmes was out there a little bit today. Lamarian James is the guy that like I'm most interested in, like as a UDFA stepping up or whatever. But he's going. I think he has a concussion, maybe.
He got.
But either way,
this week, right?
I don't think going the UDFA route at that important of a position is dicey a little bit, at least right away until he like really earns it. The safety room is going to be interesting. Chris Edmonds, I didn't see out there very much today, which was a little bit surprising. They really let Donovan McMillan play a ton. He had a bunch of tackles, was kind of all over the field. I love the kid's game. I don't think he'll make it through to the practice squad. He's the guy for me that's on the edge of the 53.
Yeah, kind of is him or Edmonds for that DeAnthony Bell role that they had last year. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like you have to keep Jenkins and KZ, especially with the problems in the nickel. So when you are going to, both of those guys can actually have experience playing that slot.
So yeah, what it turns into is those are your four, and then your fifth guy is one of Edmonds or
McMillan.
Yeah,
so
that's.
I would have said Edmonds before this week, but it's close.
McMillan may just win a little bit today. I agree with that, dude.
Yeah,
I agree with that. All right, that's it for us. We got that. We got everything covered in that game. We will, be back like crazy. I'll probably try to get something produced on the totality of Dylan's performance for tomorrow. Did that with Shador by the next day. I'll try to do the same with Dylan. Film will usually drop early morning, late night. So I'll try to get up tomorrow morning and make that happen for you guys. But yeah, there's some stuff to feel really good at. And I think the things that are going to be worth highlighting are like the things we just talked about, Brad, which are what are the position battles at the edges of rooms that are really worth paying attention to from reports at camp this week. And then obviously the game on, is it Saturday? I think it's Saturday.
Saturday at 1 again. Yeah, another one, as if we don't have enough 1 o'clock starts. They got to do preseason there too.
But that's the big stuff. But yeah, close us out, brother.
Last question for you before we go. Do we have a kicker battle?
No, I think they're paying him too much, aren't they? Is the money too much I guess they could let him go. I haven't looked at it. It's worth considering because is it Smits? I think I'm saying that right. Or is it
yeah, I used to call him Smite, but I was corrected. I think it's Smit.
Well, Smith's kicking the hell out of it, and I like his mechanics, and he's making another guy kind of like McMillan who's like, are we sure that guy's not better? So
I know
I'm open to anything that is not what I watched last year and is more toward what Hopkins was in 23. I am open to finding that however it comes. And also clearly Rex Sunahara or whatever is your snapper. That's not a debate either.
Yeah.
There. So specials, that solves it. We will have a ton of coverage coming for you guys. Over the course of the next 5 days, there's so many roster battle discussions to get into, and I promise to you we will get to all of that and plenty more. For Brad and I, we appreciate you being here, stopping by, hanging out with us on a Saturday. Have a great Saturday night, and keep your eye out for plenty of Browns film breakdown coverage that will come your way on Sunday and the rest of the early week and into building up to a fun conclusion to the preseason next weekend. Thanks for being here. For Brad and I, we always say, go Brad.